Hey everybody, it's Joy Brooks from Email and Coffee, and today we're talking with Ann Tomlin about HTML stuff, all developments, cool stuff, and me being the geek that I am, I'm like in geek heaven. So Ann, how you doing? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, cool. I'm having a great day. I am a freelance email developer and I have my own company. I started freelancing about 3 to 4 years ago and started my own company called Emails Y'all. And I have a lot of different clients and I do work on a lot of different ESPs. So pretty much if you ask me to do it, I probably can.
Love, love the HTML code. So what's the name of your cat?
Oh, yes. This is Ty.
Can't avoid the cat in the room.
Yeah, this is Tiberius, Ty
Oh,
for short.
well, we have Pompeii and Tiberius in common. We're,
Yeah.
we're going well here. My history as a archaeologist that never was, and your
Classicist that never was,
the classicist that never was. Yes, I um, I have a date with Marcus Aurelius later today. A little Stoic philosophy to put me to bed. So we're going to talk about HTML, why it's so important. And as far as I'm concerned, you can't talk about email marketing without HTML. And, that may be my opinion because I started off as a developer way back when. But, there's something to be said about my conviction. So why is HTML so important?
Well, I would definitely say you can't really have email without HTML, even if you're using a WYSIWYG or something like that. So, I mean, that is the basis of email. So you have to have it, but I would say a well-coded email in HTML is probably the most important, part of making an email. Yeah, creating it, coding it.
It's clean. It's
Yes.
be accepted by all the carriers and all the service providers. They're going to be reading that.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes changing it for you.
And any garbage in there that, oops, copy, paste, oops, I didn't mean to paste that, but I don't see it there anymore, so it's okay. The WYSIWYGs are really great for a lot of email marketing people that are starting, entrepreneurs that are starting, any person that's really trying to have a small business and wants to regularly email people. But at some point in time, it really begins to hurt you because you can't do the things you want to do. And even if the WYSIWYGs allow you to do them, oh, I'm going to put a background image here, you really don't know what you're getting.
Yeah.
And you don't
I
know what you're
yeah,
sending.
completely agree. There is definitely a space for WYSIWYGs. I'm glad they exist. It's just sometimes they get in the way of being creative with HTML.
One of my biggest issues is that they may be okay for 6 months and then something changes.
Yeah.
ESP that is providing you with this WYSIWYG may not be able to fix all the create all the hacks required to fix all the nuances that are going on. And they may
Yep.
think, well, no one's using these templates anyway. They're 2 years old or whatever. And you're chugging along with this template thinking it's
Yeah.
wonderful and it does not look well in this email client. And you have no idea. It might be an obscure email client or it may be one of the bigger email clients. So there are reasons not to use the WYSIWYGs, but as I said, I've run into so many situations where it's just part of the business model.
Yeah. The main pet peeve I have with ESPs and entering in the HTML code for that is them, thinking that they know better than me, somebody who's been doing this for 10 years. So they change up your code and that's, I mean, there's usually nothing you can do about it. You have to code around the problem. And so, yeah. But I would say that most ESPs are at least trying to be as up to date as possible. It's the nature of the email world to have things change one day and nobody tells you. You just find it out. And so you got to switch gears real fast. So I mean, I think that's kind of the nature of being an email developer.
And the purpose, the cleaner the code,
Mhm.
the less likely you have being surprised. But if you're using a WYSIWYG over time, and you run 5 campaigns a month, and you're using that template again and again and again and again and again, it's not transparent. You don't see what's in the back end anymore.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you could be adding in extra lines, extra table rows, and you have no clue that they are there, but there's like 15 extra rows because you've been copying the same template over and over again.
It doesn't clean it up. There's no way to hit the button that says clear and start from scratch. And generally speaking, even though you have that base template, most people don't go back to the base template, because the minute they create that base template, they change it.
Yeah.
So now they're literally opening up the campaign they sent last week or yesterday, and hitting the backspace key, or just doing a huge delete and throwing in more content, and they don't realize that it was red, that it was blue, then it was green, then black, and literally all that code is still in there.
Yep, with all the span tags.
All the spam we're all there with nothing there, and over time you'll get bounced. If you're wondering why you're getting bounced, that's a possibility.
Yeah.
It's a possibility.
Absolutely.
Because it appears to the ISPs that you're hiding something.
Yeah. Well, I would also say that at least some WYSIWYGs have HTML that is definitely not very accessible, which is like one of my pet peeve type things. It's having accessible email is something that's very important to me, and it doesn't take that long to add in that those extra things to make it more acceptable. Just roll presentation, make sure that you're using hierarchy. It isn't that difficult, and I don't think it would take too horribly long to update an ESP's templates that they have made and allow you to
or
use.
at least provide a library of accessibility.
Right.
But allowing you into that, allowing you into those tags, they don't provide that. So you're not able to necessarily pick H1, H2, H3, H4. You're not able to do a P tag. You're not able to go in and put in the role in the role value presentation. You're not able to do all of those things, and they're not providing a template that might be half baked like that. So they're not addressing accessibility.
Right. Yeah, and that's
how it will play out for a blind person or a deaf person or whatever the person, whatever the disability is. You're not able to address it at all.
Right. Yeah, and I wish that was high up, more, high up in ESP's, priority list. It would definitely. If I was running the world, I would put that at the top before like adding extra features and stuff. But I'm not running the world.
I hear that one. I hear that one. So accessibility introduces the next topic of specialties, which would be dark mode. So dark mode is in the beginning, when I saw dark mode rolling out, I thought to myself, who in the right mind would even consider? It was just, and then I realized Apple.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, all right, I get it. It's just, it is what it is. It is. And having worked side by side with PC and Apple people who argue about it all the time, about anything, about the other, the other operating system. I know that just having dark mode is in itself, it breeds in itself. It's just like, now I just want it because I can have it and it's an Apple thing and I can really make myself different. And then it rolled out further and further. And it's at the point where you have to have it. There's no argument anymore. You have to have it. Odds are you've got some sight impaired people that prefer it.
Right.
Helpful to them, and then along the lines of accessibility, and you've also have people that are working, developers that are working at night on code, and yeah, the white background can drive you nuts. If you're a night owl, it can drive you crazy. I get that. So, period. The end. It is what it is. So, what are your thoughts about a dark mode? How do you deal with it? What are some of the snags?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's the mechanics of it where you have to have, the light and dark meta tags. And then you have the media query that controls dark mode. So, I mean, that's the mechanics of it, but there's a lot of extra things when we come out to email clients. So Apple is really the only Apple Mail and iOS Mail is really the only place you can control dark mode. Outlook and Gmail currently just take all your colors and invert them, either fully or partially. And that actually
consistently, and not consistently.
Yeah, and that actually even is on Outlook.com. You may specify because it does recognize the media query, but it will take those media query colors and still invert them. So really the only thing that you can control would be Apple Mail and iOS. But I would say that the best thing you could do for dark mode is to design for it. So anytime that you get a design, you have to think like, how is this going to look in dark mode? Because I can't control everything. So yeah, I definitely think that designing is probably the most important thing. I spoke with Annette, and she said that what she does now is she'll take a design and put a black background on it and say, okay, this is what your design now looks like in dark mode. You should go redesign, or I can help you redesign, or whatever. But I thought that was a really smart idea.
That's an interesting way of doing it, forcing it. You've got your logos that are essentially some color built on white. And that's been acceptable forever. Oh, it's nice and crisp, it's beautiful. Well, guess what? We need a paint on a transparent background now. And it looks awful because maybe it's fine print. And on fine print, you can control it. Fine print on a white background, if you make it big enough and then you do all the right things in HTML, it looks okay. SVG, whatever it is that you could do to make that look. Now you've got an enemy. It's called dark mode, where not only is maybe you've got a brown color background, brown color font, brown color logo on a white background, that's not going to show up. Or worse, black on a white background. So now you've got to have two logos, an inverted logo, and they both have to be PNG files.
Yep. Yeah, and the extra added, media query to flip them and stuff. And then of course you have, Outlook and Gmail, which won't do anything. Your logo is gone if you don't have like a white outline or something, to make it more visible on a black background. It's very frustrating. I would say dark mode is very frustrating, but because it is such a ubiquitous thing now, we have to find a way around it until ESPs like actually start, realizing, oh, we should give, developers a way to control this.
Totally.
And how long that's going to take, I have no idea. It took forever for Gmail to start respecting styles in the head.
Mhm.
So who knows how long it would take, the rest of them to really get up and start, giving us control.
Yeah, the other thing that you were talking about, the only thing that you could set is in Apple Mail and iOS. I was taking a look just the other day in dark mode. I switched on dark mode on my computer. I was just interested to see what's going on. I went into my Hotmail web account and I went to my Gmail account, and the CTA was 2 different colors.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, and both of them were not attractive. Or I should say either of them were attractive. One was orange and one was brown or whatever, and I was like, ugh, I give up.
Yeah. And like you said, there's really, unfortunately, no way to get around that unless you design for it, unless you like really think of your brand color and how that's going to invert. So maybe if you have like 3 different shades of your,
I was like, oh, let's all go back to black and white.
yeah.
The only thing that's in color is the header image. You have 2 logos. It's white on black or black on white. That's it, the end.
Yeah. It's a frustrating thing to deal with, but I think that it's worth it when to actually use the media query and do what you can to control it. Kind of the idea of progressive enhancement.
Yeah.
That type of thing. Do what you can for those people who can see it,
Right.
but also plan for the people who don't.
Yeah, it goes a lot to be said for making the design as clean, as simple as possible. This,
Absolutely.
we've all over the years wanted to turn email back into print, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I always throw my my Old Navy into every conversation I have, because they've just taken email and there's no text, it's all image, one image after the other, many images
with no descriptive alt text. It's all just like turn your images on.
They don't care. They get it in my inbox all the time.
Yeah.
There's so many campaigns, so after a while, something's bound to get in my inbox. But that's, and they just, when people say, what are best practices? I always have to bring, these are best practices, and then there's Old Navy. That breaks every best practice you have. But the point is that the only other thing that you could do is to slice a PSD file up and throw it completely into a campaign, an HTML campaign, without any background colors at all. I mean, it's all built in the image. And I've seen a lot of retail clothing outlets do just that.
Right. And once again, we're back to the idea of accessibility. Nobody's going to know that those jeans have, that picture of those jeans has like information that, could make a sale, because it's part of an image. You really need to, at least put alt text on your images. But if you can't do that, use live text if you can, but if you can't, at least use a descriptive alt text. I once did a talk where I showed a particular clothing company, and all they had was it was a bunch of PSD sliced exactly like you said, All of it was just turn your images on was the alt text. So I said, all right, let's see how this would look in or sound to a screen reader. It's okay. So, so and so, blah, blah, turn your images on, turn your images on, turn your images on, turn your images on. So like another 16 times turns your images on. So yeah, I understand the need for like clothing manufacturers and people, things that you're trying to sell. You definitely need, graphic pictures of it, but you also need to think about all those, people who aren't going to see those images, and that's sales. That's actual like money in your hand that you are just like, nope, don't want your money. Like why? Why? It's so easy to do. Why wouldn't you do it? But yeah.
One of the things that my Yahoo box does, oddly enough, and I don't know if everybody else it happens to everyone else, but my Yahoo box, sorry about this Yahoo, but sorry about this Verizon, but my Yahoo box is where I get all my promotional email. It was my first email address and I never gave it up. And over the years, as I signed up for stuff, I realized, you know what, I'm gonna get a Gmail account. That's gonna be my personal account where I actually talk with people I like. And Yahoo will just become my promotional, where I get every single promotional email. And so I'll go in, I'll open it up. And I'll go through the different promotional emails, I'll look at them, and Yahoo turns the images off.
Oh, gosh.
Or it's
Yeah.
having a damn hard time downloading them.
Yeah. And also with Outlook, that also, puts the little red X and that, tiny type all over, it just doesn't load them until you say to load them. And a
Yeah.
lot of the time, nobody's gonna, or, people are not going to, click to download those images. You have to have something on the screen that says, hey, this is worth, downloading these images.
Yeah, it's a little frustrating because like I said, Yahoo, it's not that I don't have the default turned on, I have it on. It's just, it's either I can't imagine that it's having an issue downloading because everything, I'm doing everything else all over the place, but these images won't download and it won't download any images. So as I go through all the templates, all of the images are not coming through. And now I'll just sit there and I'll just sit there and stare at it and suddenly pop, like, oh, thank you.
I wonder how much of that is like the people who sent you the email did not optimize their images,
It's possible,
because
but
that is
it's
such
almost,
an important thing.
it's almost as if sometimes I sit there and I say to myself, oh, is everybody using Klaviyo? Because I'm not getting any images from Klaviyo.
Mm.
And I'm thinking maybe that's it. And then I'll start taking a look at the ones that have no images, and yeah, they're all from the same ESP.
Yeah,
So,
I guess.
okay, so my internet service provider is having a time with the email service provider for whatever reason. They're just not letting them through.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
throttling.
Yeah, man. I didn't think, and also with Gmail, you get caching issues as well. So yeah, that's another, yet a whole nother, bag of or can of worms that you have to deal with images. So yeah, which is, I mean, let me climb on my soapbox and talk about, really live text is absolutely just essential. There have been, I mean, as a freelance, developer, I've gotten a lot of different reasons over time why people have decided to make text images. And sometimes it totally like, okay, I can get that. But most of the time, I would say that it's not really that necessary. It really like I mean, putting the text in the image is not necessary. I would say the worst one that I got was we need to keep the brand font. But that your brand font is not anywhere near as important as making that sale or getting that donation or whatever it is, you know, whatever the end goal is. And it's your, I can't even think of the right way of saying it, but like, you know, you're doing yourself a disservice,
Mhm.
you know, because you're so focused on this one particular part of your campaign when there are tons of other things that you could, you know, be doing.
But
Yeah, but
what
anyway, that's my soapbox about live text.
you know, I don't want to call it an argument, so we'll call it a challenge discussion with clients. It's often about that
Mhm.
branding, where they're like, our font is not Arial,
Yes.
it's not, it's not any of the ones that you're offering. It's this, and we want that in our campaign. And I'll say something like, but as you said, you're doing yourself a disservice because now they're not gonna see anything
Yeah.
and you're gonna not get the sale. And they're so much into that design where they can't understand that email should, oh gosh, it's a horrible thing to say. It comes down to the simplest common denominator. So you don't like all those fonts. I'm sorry you don't like all those fonts. Pick one that's system for sure to get your text in front of the customer. Make
Absolutely.
it
Yeah.
as clean and as clear as possible. You don't have to write a book with that font. 2 paragraphs, okay, so you've got 2 paragraphs, your bolded headline, use some color, your call to action, a lovely image. No, it is not the Mona Lisa. No, I'm sorry, you're right. It is not the
Right.
Mona Lisa. It is not a print ad, but it's getting in your inbox and you're gonna get a sale now.
Yeah.
If you could get from being a designer or from being a marketer and put yourself into the shoes of being a consumer and a customer, when I am shopping, I very rarely look at a brand that I buy stuff for or I buy stuff from. Look at the brand's email and go, why didn't they use a better font than that? Essentially, if I bought something just the other day, I usually buy it at Amazon, but the brand came in and the brand had a deal. So I need this product. It's time. I went to Amazon. I pulled up the price. I went to the brand. I pulled up the price. I put in the code, the promo code. It was cheaper, a sale, the end. We don't,
Yeah.
a lot of marketers don't get that. They're so busy saying, oh, let's make an animation, let's
Yeah.
make a
Sometimes.
sale.
Yeah. Same sort of thing with progressive enhancement. Yeah, do the bottom, you know, make sure that the bottom, you know, level with that Outlook is gonna see is, you know, is nice and as nice as it can be. And then for, you know, for those people that are using uh, you know, iOS or Apple Mail, yeah, I mean, do a custom font, you know, that you can do. But to worry that everybody is not going to see your custom font is not worrying necessarily about the right stuff. I mean, but if that's your only worry, you're really working it. If your font is the only problem that you're having with your email, yeah, that
It's
awesome.
difficult to get them to be in that email mode when they realize it really is, to some extent, base common denominator. What is the
Mhm.
most common across all computers? That's what we're doing.
Right.
Nobody wants to say that. Nobody
Yeah,
wants to agree to that.
yeah.
Nobody wants to do that. But that's really what it comes down to.
Hmm. Yeah,
That
I
way,
completely agree. That's you have to make sure that the base level is good and does get your message across. I think you know getting your message across is really the more important thing than showing images or you know extra text or whatever is necessary because you know your message whether it's to buy something, to donate, whatever it is, that's what you're trying to get to the even if you're not doing, yeah, if yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
Anyway, yeah,
Whether it's
so
a
I'm basically
CTA,
just restating
yeah,
everything, so yeah.
whether it's a CTA or a newsletter, that's, that you're basically getting a curated newsletter with information, or a CTA that's sending you off to donate or buy or read more or whatever it is.
Yeah.
None of those things are effective if you can't see them.
Mhm,
If
absolutely.
the font just gets bizarre because you want a fancy font and the font that it's defaulting to is either too big, the CTA button explodes, all these odd things happen.
Yeah.
The characters, some special characters get lost, or
Oh, that, yes. Oh, man, encoding.
yeah, and, I mean, you can have some situations where they just may be a tilde or an enya, it's something very, very specific to a language, and it just gets lost literally in the translation of this font because the font can't carry it.
Yeah.
You don't realize it until, it lands in that inbox that doesn't display it. And now
Yeah.
it's, what word is that? That's not a nice word.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just, the world of email marketing. The beauty is that, and I've always said this, HTML is a very simple language, has its rules and regulations.
Mhm.
It made my life very organized. And I found love in email marketing because while everyone else's jobs were frantic, I knew I had rules and regulations. If I did it wrong, it would break. So I would be able to see it immediately and fix it. And it was such a lovely world. And then Microsoft screwed it up. And then, it just became this, it was in the very beginning when I was doing HTML, and it worked fairly well. And then, like I said, Microsoft screwed it up, and then it became the print of digital,
Right.
and that screwed it up. And then it went responsive, and then that further screwed it up, and then it went dark mode. So now it's fairly complicated. You should get yourself an expert who knows what they're doing. If you're going to be doing WYSIWYG, you should probably really keep it as simple as possible.
Absolutely. I definitely have to agree with you on that one. Doing fancy stuff with a WYSIWYG is not always going to work out. And so you're better off, if you're just, starting out in with sending email, it's probably better that you stay to a, one column type layout, because that's always going to, look correct, in every place. You know what? Even if you're not starting out, it's a good idea to keep, if you don't have a professional, like, actually building out that awesome thing you have in your head, keeping it to a template that's really easy and it's more important that you get your message across than it is for your email to have all the bells and whistles.
Yeah, I mean, really, make it mobile first, the old stack it. So
Absolutely.
this, that, the next thing, and it looks the same in mobile, but it's still big. Everything's big
Mhm.
enough, you can still read it. So you're not looking at it in mobile going, I can't click that link anymore.
Yeah.
I can't
Or
do
have to zoom in. Yeah.
I can't do that. One, I had something to say and it just flew right out of my head. Did you see it over there? Right over there.
Happens to me all the time.
Time. I was thinking, so one of the, I mean, you, one of the simplest things and something that has happened to me more than you'd believe is they've got a template, but for whatever reason, instead of using the WYSIWYG for social, they want their own social icons because maybe their social icons are different colors, right?
Mhm.
So even doing something as simple as dropping in your own teeny icons for social images can get so fouled up, you just want to shoot yourself in the head. Because you get the campaign in some obscure inbox where it took those little teeny icons and made them 100%.
Yeah, yeah, you have to be really careful on those, especially with WYSIWYGs if you're using Retina images. That is the
Oh, we didn't
probably
talk
one
about Retina, did we?
well, I mean, it's definitely something that I see quite often, that I'm asked to, hey, what's going on here? It's very first thing I usually do is, are your images like, is the width set? Is it honest gut set, not just width 100? Like it has to have its own, width before it's going to look good everywhere. So Outlook is the worst at that, but it definitely happens in a lot of different places.
One of the things that I have seen is that um, while the marketer may be able to manage the template, they're not necessarily able to manage the images. And they may be getting images that are 800 pixels wide, 1200 pixels wide, any amount of pixels wide. They may be pulling them down from their stock image at 2300 pixels wide and uploading them in and dropping them in. And while that has something to be said for retinal images, it really isn't the method to use. You're creating a very large email, weight wise, because these images are now huge. And they're coming through, the full image is coming through, and then the HTML is telling them what size, but all of that information is being sent. So you've got this very large image that may or may not be set appropriately. It may be set at 100%, which may blow your template to 100%.
Yeah. I actually just had a client where I had to explain that. They had a table around the image that was set at the, display width that they wanted the image, but it was just massive. It was 300, it was 3 column, and each of them was 300 pixels wide, each of the images, on each column. So I had to basically be like, okay, this one's for free for y'all because I can just tell you what the problem is,
Right.
rather than fix it. The problem is your images, and you can fix it. So there's no reason for you to,
They may not have graphic designers, so they may be doing the graphics themselves. They may not be aware that they need to resize. It's always good if you don't have a Photoshop or if you don't have any tools, software tools, then get yourself something online and make sure that you're aware that the width of your campaign is generally 600 pixels wide, and you want to make sure that all of your images are somewhere less than that. If they're retinal, then that's okay. That's 600 times 2.
Yeah.
That's okay, but you still want to tell it. If you're dealing with that, that's when you do want to go to an HTMLer, because it has to be set up to tell it width and max width.
Yeah, I kind of think of email as like a 5-year-old, where you have to tell it every specific thing, that you have to be uber, as specific as possible for it to come out as you intended. There are so many ways to, that work in web because, it makes, they don't have the same sort of constrictions, that we do. So yeah, it's always just being super specific on everything with email, images included.
So basically speaking, hire Ann Tomlin. Pay
Well.
money, you'll take it back, and everyone will be happy. Well, it's been lovely, lovely talking with you. I have been a fan of yours for so long, so this is
Oh, thank
almost
you.
like a geek fan club here. And I'm so glad that you came on the show, that we had some time to talk.
Yeah.
If folks want to connect with you, where can they do that?
Easiest way is emailsyall.com. That's my website. And from there you can go, I have all my social media, so you can also Twitter, find me at Pompeii79, and emails y'all. And I can't really remember the rest of them, but they're all, if you, they're I have the social, section of my website. So you can
Very good.
click on those.
Share that with everybody. In the
Yeah.
bottom, underneath description, take a look.
Right.
So it's been great. It's been wonderful. I hope you have a great day. And
Yeah,
to
you
everyone,
too.
all our audience, happy email marketing, y'all.